tea or whatever you are sipping, and get cozy. Here we share and start the morning with a positive vibe. So let's reset, recharge, and reconnect right here on Cup of Cocoa and Chat. I'm Princess, host of Cup of Cocoa and Chat.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. This week, August the 3rd through August the 9th, Cup of Cocoa and Chat weekly theme is Systems Over Willpower. Building a life that lasts. Building a life that lasts. This is episode number 55. The secret to staying consistent. The secret to staying consistent. I am Princess, your host, and I am so glad you're here. Whether you're relaxing at home, commuting, working, running errands, or simply taking a moment for yourself, thank you for inviting me into your day. Grab your favorite beverage. And of course, you know mine is hot or cold cocoa. And let's spend a few moments together, shall we? Here at Cup of Cocoa and Chat, we're building a community that believes intentional living starts with meaningful conversations. Every week, we explore faith, personal growth, history, lifestyle, wellness, relationships, and everyday moments that help us create a life filled with purpose. Because your future is counting on the choices you make today. Okay? So let's start today's cocoa conversation. Grab your beverage if you can. So last week, we discussed how to keep going when the excitement wears off. We learned that motivation comes and motivation goes, right? But commitment, discipline is what keeps us moving forward. Okay? So that leaves us with another question, right? So I talk about it. You want to know if I'm about it, right? Here's what I do, actually. This is what I actually do every day, right? To stay consistent, to stay focused, right? So a lot of people ask, or they're wondering, how do I keep going once the vision board is hanging on the wall? So last week I introduced my project that I put together, and it's a part of one of my systems, which was a vision board, right? And what happens after the vision board is decorated, all of the things on it is put up or displayed somewhere in your home. What happens after that? Okay? So, for me, once I've written down my goals, created my healthy habits, and made the decision to change, right? On any ordinary Tuesday, or for example, today, Monday, when nothing feels exciting to me, like, where do I go from there, right? I got this vision board up, but I'm not feeling that excitement anymore, right? Where do I go from here? And that's what today's Cocoa conversation is all about. Because the answer isn't finding more motivation. The answer is building systems that make consistency part of your lifestyle. And in my case, I did just that, right? Because when your systems support your goals, showing up becomes less about willpower and more about the life you're intentionally creating, right? So today, let's talk about the secret to staying consistent. The secret to staying consistent. Okay? And that's the title of episode number 55, The Secret to Staying Consistent. Okay? So what I actually do every day, let's get into that. So this is Coco Conversation segment number 1. Motivation gets you started. Systems keep you going. Okay? So last week, we talked about what happens when the excitement wears off. Today, I want to answer the question that naturally follows, right? So what do you think follows? What question would follow after the excitement has worn off, right? What and I will answer that because the truth is what I actually do every day is number 1, I don't wake up every morning feeling motivated. That's number 1, right? I do not. Some mornings I am excited. Some mornings I'm tired. Some mornings life is simply life. But I've learned something that has changed the way I approach every goal. I don't depend on motivation anymore. Mhm. I depend on my system because motivation is emotional. Motivation is emotional. I have said this before. Motivation is just a feeling. It's just a feeling. But the systems that you put in place are intentional. Okay? And intentional living will always outlast temporary feelings. One phrase has become a part of the way I live my life, and that is I don't wake up wondering what I should do. I've already decided. Now I simply follow my plan, right? I get up somewhere between 5 and 6 every morning. I do the same things because I have a system in place, which involves chores, my content, all of the things that I do on a daily, right? Now, let me be clear. I don't have it. I don't have everything figured out, right? Because I adjust, pivot, pivot. I've done all the things to get me where I am today. Now, I feel comfortable with the systems that I put in place as of today. But who knows? Because life, and we're constantly growing. So we'll get into that a little later, right? Again, I don't have everything figured out. I am living this journey right alongside of you. So if you've listened to Cup of Cocoa and Chat for a while, you've probably noticed every Monday there's a new podcast. Unless I'm on a break, and I normally let everyone know, I announce it, I promote it. I'm going on a break, da 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 da. I will be back, da 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 da. Otherwise, every Monday there's a new podcast, right? Every day there's encouragement within my Facebook groups, and I am the admin for 3 groups that I created, and I engage, post every day, encouragement and different things, tips, strategies, whatever. Whatever is aligned with whatever that group is, that's what I'm doing, right? Every week there's a new theme. Every week there's a new theme. Every Saturday without fail, I create a new theme for the week ahead. And everything I post aligns with my theme, unless I'm just posting a picture or reposting another post that I like, or something is on my heart that I want to say outside of what I've already planned. Other than that, every piece of post that you see from me throughout the week on all of my platforms are planned on Saturday. Every Saturday, right? There are Coco quick facts that I do. I post every week on all my platforms, right? I plan all of those in advance. I do all the research on all the people in advance, and then every day I post them, right? If the person is deceased, I let TikTok, if I'm on, I normally post first on TikTok with my Coco Quick Facts, right? So if the person is deceased, normally I will allow TikTok to choose the song. If the person is amongst the living, I choose a birthday song that I think fits with um, the post that I've posted and the quick facts that I posted about the person, right? Because I believe that February is just not enough time to get out and celebrate Black history. And so I do that all during the year, right? Next year, I'll be doing something different. This year, I'm doing birthdays. My Facebook stories are already pre-planned. So they are Coco quick facts, Facebook stories, quotes, reflection, and meaningful conversations that happen every day. People sometimes ask me, Princess, how do you keep up with all of that? And the answer is very simple. I don't rely on motivation. I rely on my systems. I realized something long time ago. If I woke up every morning trying to decide what I should do, what I should post, right? I waste time and energy making the same decisions over and over again. So when I wake up, I already know what I'm going to do. I already have my day planned out, right? And that works for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but it works for me, right? So I had to stop what I was doing before. What am I going to post? Like, what am I feeling? What's the trend? What is everyone talking about? What is on the news? I don't have to do that because I've already put in place a system. And if something falls on my heart to post, I post that beyond what I've already posted based on the systems I put in place, right? I had to stop it. I just had to create the systems for me, and it works for me, right? One of the biggest systems I created is around my health. I'm getting older, um, and there was a lot of things that I needed to stop doing. There was a lot of things I needed to start doing when it came to my health. So I did just that. I created a system around my health. I have 7 healthy habits that I intentionally work on every day when it comes to my health. They're not about being perfect. They're simply the commitments I made to myself, right? Some days I do better than others. Trust. Some days I do better than others. But because I already know what I'm working toward, I don't have to wake up wondering where to start. So that's the whole point. Another system is how I create my content, right? And I talked about that as already as well. But I don't wake up on Monday wondering what this week's podcast should be because I already know, right? So when it comes to the sip on this Tuesday that I do, I haven't did a I haven't did any in a while only because life has been lifing. But trust I have them already in the vault to go when I need them to go, right? Um, Even my Facebook stories, everything connects back to my weekly thing. I try to make my Cocoa Quick Facts um kind of line up with my theme. Um, and sometimes that's difficult because uh, of the different notable people that I celebrate. Um, Sometimes it's hard and it gets sticky. So, but for the most part, I try as much as I can to line everything up with whatever my weekly theme is, right? So everything works together because I plan the system, not just the posts, right? My my vision board, it isn't just decoration, it's a reminder for me. I have hard deadlines on there, things I want to do and the time frame I want to do them in. And I look at that every day because I have a copy on my phone and then I have a copy printed out on a board, right? And it keeps my goals where I can see them either on my phone or, like I said, on the poster. And every time I walk past the poster, I'm reminded of the life I'm intentionally building because my eyes are drawn to it because I put colors in it that I knew would draw anyone's eyes to the board, right? So I was strategic when I created my vision board. Even something like my cruise has a system. I have an upcoming cruise. I've never been on a cruise. I have always been afraid. Friends have been going on cruises. Family has been going on cruises, and I don't commit because I was afraid. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this, right? So my first upcoming cruise will be in October. And anytime I plan to go out, vacation, whatever, I got a list of what I need to pack, what I need to buy, my outfits, how many days I'm going to be there, an outfit for the morning, afternoon, dinner. If we decide to go out, if I'm going to go walking or the gym, amusement park, whatever, I have all my outfits planned, right? Um, And it's not because I have to, but because planning reduces stress for me, right? So although I'm just learning to put a lot of things in system, whenever I traveled, I always did that, right? I always did that because it reduces stress. I do not leave things. And when I'm coming back home, I check and check and check and make sure that no one, if I'm traveling with other people, that no one has left anything, right? Systems give me peace. It's just as simple as that. But now let me be honest. Let me be transparent a little bit here. There have been weeks when life completely interrupted my routine and threw wrenches in my systems, right? One of them, losing Mercedes, was one of those moments. My heart was broken. My heart is still broken, right? I wasn't thinking about content. I wasn't thinking about productivity. I was grieving, right? But something beautiful happened. I realized I already had systems in place, so I didn't have to think about anything, right? All I had to do was execute, execute, execute. And the beautiful thing about the systems I have in place, it takes me less than 5 minutes to post any content on all of my platforms. Less than 5 minutes. I have a system, right? So because I already had that system in place, I didn't have to start over. I simply adjusted my pace. And when I was ready, I returned to my system. My heart is still broken. Um, as a matter of fact, I'm sitting here looking at the package that um, they placed her in uh, after her cremation was done, right? I have yet to look to unpackage the package. So I'm just looking at a blue bag that has a tag with her name on it. I haven't even looked at the urn that we chose. I haven't looked at it. I printed out the picture all ready to put in because it's like a picture frame type thing. Um, but I can't bring myself to look at it right now. So there's that, you know. Um, so I returned to my system, and that's when I truly understood that systems aren't designed for days when life is easy. They're designed to carry us through the days when life is hard, right? And I believe that's the secret to staying consistent. Now, I done took a lot of time on segment one. Let's move over to Coco Conversation segment two, which is your invitation to build your life around your habits, not your feelings. So I've talked about what I do. I talked about what works for me. What I shared with you today is what works for me. My systems aren't meant to become your systems, right? They're simply an example of what's possible. My hope is that you'll see how simple daily systems can help you stay committed to your own goals, even when life gets busy or motivation fades. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do here. Excuse me. Remember, one of my systems I created was around my 7 healthy habits for my health, right? Their habits I intentionally work on every day. Not because I'm trying to be perfect, but because they're helping me because of the person I want to be. So now I want to encourage you to do the same. Build your life around your habits and not your feelings, right? Because feelings change. Some days you will feel motivated, and other days you'll feel discouraged or distracted. You may even feel tired, right? That's why feelings can't be the foundation of your life. Habits can, though. So ask yourself, what habits do I want to build my life around, right? Some examples. Maybe it's spending time with God each morning, right? You know, we live in a society where everybody is rushing, right? So you have to carve out those time frames to put those systems in place to make your day or your life easier, okay? It could be something as trivial as drinking more water, taking daily walks, reading your Bible, or just reading for 15 minutes, saving money, calling a loved one that you haven't spoken to in a while just to say hello and I'm just calling to check on you, right? Writing in a journal is always a great one, right? Learning something new. You should be learning something new every day. Every day you should be learning something new. Now, whether you choose to use what you learn is up to you, but you should be learning something new every day. Or finally, starting a business that you've been talking about. Maybe you need to set up a system for that. Whatever it is, choose habits that support the life you're trying to build. Then create a simple system around them. Don't wait until you're feeling like doing it. Decide in advance what you're committed to doing. And every time you repeat a healthy habit, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. Because remember, we should be steadily growing, right? We should be steadily growing in this life. Okay? Over time, those repeated choices become a part of your identity. And when your habits become a part of who you are, consistency becomes much easier. For my folks out there that like to start and stop things all the time. You done started this project, you stop. You done started another project, you done stop. Before you even finish that first project, you on your way to the second project, right? Set up a system so that you can get through what you need to get through. And trust me, it will make your life a whole lot easier, right? Because I no longer want you to be asked to ask yourself, do I feel like doing this today? Instead, I want you to start saying, this is who I am and this is what I do, right? And remember what I said earlier. I do not wake up wondering what I should do. I've already decided. Now I simply follow my plan. And that's the power of building your life around your habits instead of your feelings. Because motivation is just a feeling and it will fade. All right. Coco Conversation segment 3. Start small, build for the long haul. Start small, build for the long haul, right? One of the biggest mistakes we make is trying to fix everything all at once. It's in our nature sometimes. We want to fix everything all at one time. But I suggest that you start with one simple system. Give yourself time to live with it. See what's working. See what isn't. Make adjustments. Keep what serves you and change what doesn't. Because it's your system, right? You can adjust, change, pivot. You can do whatever you want because that's your system. Make sure that your system works for you, right? Remember, your first system doesn't have to be your forever system. It simply has to be good enough to get you started. Once the system becomes part of your routine, adding another healthy habit becomes very easy. Perhaps adding another goal becomes easier, or just adding another goal. Like all of that comes easy once you have a system in place. Any great business model is a system that has been put in place for it to work cohesively. Okay? Because here's the thing, you're no longer starting from scratch. You're building on a foundation that's already in place once you have that system. Once you have a system, whether or not you need to change it, pivot, adjust, whatever, right? You're not starting from scratch if you have to change it or do anything to it because you're building on a foundation that's already in place, right? That's how a house is built. One brick at a time, right? One room at a time, one step at a time. Your life works the same way. So start small and build for the long haul. Because lasting change isn't built in a weekend. It's built one intentional day at a time. Okay? Then moving right along. Now that you created a simple system, right? The next step is making that system work for you. Okay? And that's very important. This is where three things become very important, right? You got automation, you have friction, and you have feedback. Automation, friction, and feedback is in any system. Those three things are very important for any system, right? I don't care what the system is. Automation, friction, and feedback are very important. And here's why. Let's start with automation. Whenever possible, make good decisions once instead of making them every day. So if you have a system in place, you don't have to worry about making the same decision. When you meal prep, for example, when you meal prep, right? And you already have your meals for the week, right? You have some people do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Some people just do lunch. Some people do two of the three. However it's done, right? You don't have to make the decision of what am I going to eat today because your system was already in place with meal prepping. So you don't have to make that decision every day because you already have something in place. Now, sometimes, because I've been there, I meal prep. I meal prep myself sometimes, and sometimes I don't want that. But the love of having not to choose when it's already in place for you is awesome, right? It's awesome. Okay? Um, so that's pretty much what that means. You know, you schedule your workouts. Your system is you'll work out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So Tuesday morning, you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear to the gym if you got to get up and go to the gym because your system is already in place. Now, life happens sometimes and you may have to pivot, but the system is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, whatever your system is set up. However your system is set up, I should say, right? Set reminders. plan your week. If you're doing any of that, then you don't have to worry about making the decision every day. Pay your bills automatically. Have them on EFT, automatic payments or whatever. Like however you need to do that. Then you don't have to make that decision. You don't have to worry with that because it's already set up. That system is already designed and set up for you, for your bills, right? Planning your week out, right? The fewer decisions and also laying out your clothes at night, right? Laying out your clothes at night. If you have to lay out 2 outfits, 1 outfit, you don't have to worry about that stress of rushing in the morning trying to find something to wear because you're looking for these pants. You can't find those pants when you're looking for them in a rush, in a panic. But if you have planned the night before or the beginning of the week, what you're going to wear the whole week, you don't have to worry about anything because that system is already in place. So the fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy you'll have for things that really matter, right? You ain't got to be running around your house with your head cut off like a chicken. All right, so next, that was automation, right? Because that's all that stuff is automation. Now let's talk about friction. Now you say friction. What does friction have to do with the system? Friction is anything that makes a good habit harder to do. I am a firm believer to work smarter and not harder. That has been one of my mottos throughout my career. I'm not doing all of that to get the same result if I can work smarter. It doesn't make sense. I don't like to waste time, right? It took me a long time to figure that part out. It's not that, well, I guess it is. I'm not going to say that. I've always been like, I would get frustrated, right? Before I became a supervisor, I would get frustrated with supervisors because I'm like, why are we doing it this way? But that was their system. And because I worked for them, I had to, within limits, do what they ask, right? But why work harder when you can work a whole lot smarter, get the same results, get better results and get it done quicker when you taking the long way down the hall, around the corner, all this stuff to get this done when we could have did this over here and been done with it and working on something else, right? And I used to get so frustrated. And then it dawned on me, I don't like to waste time. Like it's crazy to me. Why are we wasting time? Why are we wasting time? Right? So I've never been a person to waste time or energy, right? So the fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy you have for the things that really matter. Okay? So same thing with friction. If your Bible is tucked away in your drawer, you're less likely to read it because you don't see it, right? Make it easy for yourself. Put it on the nightstand. Simple. If healthier food isn't in the house, you're more likely to grab whatever's convenient. And you say you're gaining weight, right? Because you're eating all those empty calories because that's what you have in your house. If your planner is buried under papers, you probably won't open it. So ask yourself, what's making this habit harder than it needs to be? because I'm all about the simple life, right? And so that's what friction is. It's those kinks. Like, let's make this easy. Come on, let's wrap this up. Why we waste the time? We could be doing this instead of that. Why are we doing that when this is easier, right? So sometimes you got to get through that friction. Like if if you know that you want to exercise, you don't want to go to the gym, you want to exercise at home, get the things that are necessary for you to do what you need to do at home. And set up a system, set up a plan, set up a reminder if you have to. Do all the things to make it easier for you. Okay? Right? Now, we just talking about making the habits easier, right? So ask yourself, what's making this habit harder than it needs to be? What's making this goal harder than it needs to be? What's making this harder than it needs to be? And then remove the obstacle. Move the obstacle, right? So that's when we talk about friction, that is a part of the friction, right? And that's in every, you have friction in every, you have friction on jobs, you have it in your new businesses, all of the things that you need to work on to make it easier for everyone involved, right? So why not look at your system and make sure there's no obstacle there so you won't have to worry about any friction, okay? Now, let's talk about feedback because every system needs a way to tell you whether it's working, right? Every system needs a way to tell you that it's working because not all systems work. Not all systems work, right? Not all systems work. My system may not work for you and vice versa, right? Or if you've put a system in place and y- you're seeing that something right here, right? That's feedback for yourself, right? But it doesn't mean criticizing yourself. It just means paying attention. Paying attention. What's helping you? What's getting in the way? Like, what's stopping you from getting it done? What needs to change, right? These are all the questions that you ask of yourself and by paying attention to what's going on, right? Your system should grow with you because life changes, season changes, you change, right? So don't be afraid to make adjustments, right? Because the goal isn't to build a perfect system. The goal is to build one that keeps working for the life you're living today and the life that you want to live, right? So the system you put in place today may not work in 5 years, okay? Here's a quote I live by. A good system doesn't control your life. It supports the life you're trying to create, okay? All right. So here's one that I often talk about. And here's something I've learned. No matter how good your system is, life is going to interrupt it, right? You get sick, family members get sick, children get sick, you know, you'll lose someone you love, like I talked about earlier, right? You'll have unexpected expenses. You'll have days when you are simply tired. But hold on, that doesn't mean your system failed. It means you're human, right? And with that, I just want to let you know missing one day doesn't erase your progress. So you got all this progress. You've been going to the gym faithfully. That's one of your systems, right? You've been going to gym faithfully every day at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. before you go to work, after work, whatever, right? Missing one day doesn't erase that progress that you've done already, right? It doesn't. One unhealthy meal doesn't undo healthy habits. It's what you do after you miss that one meal. But one missed workout doesn't cancel months of consistency. It just doesn't. One missed day of prayer doesn't separate you from God's love, right? One missed podcast doesn't end your purpose. And that's for me, right? One missed podcast doesn't end my purpose. The important thing is this, very simple: return. Return. Don't let one day, one bad day, become one bad week. Because it's like a monopoly effect. It can happen very quickly. Don't let one bad week become one bad month. Okay? Give yourself grace, but don't give up. Return. Grace gives you permission to begin again. It never gives you permission to quit. And remember that. Grace gives you permission to begin again. It never gives you permission to quit. So I just wanted you to, in the middle of everything I've said, I just want you to know, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Just don't give up. Okay? Now, let's go on to Cocoa Conversation segment 6, right? Because what we're going to do now is we're going to track it, we're going to tweak it, and we're going to raise the standard, which is the most important part. Raise the standard. A good system isn't something you build once and never think about it again, right? It's something you pay attention to. Remember, I said that. You have to pay attention, right? That's how you get that feedback. You have to pay attention. If you never stop to evaluate your progress, how will you know if your system is working for you? Right? That's why feedback is so important, right? Because you have to take the time to ask yourself, what's working well for me? What's becoming easier for me? Where am I still struggling? What's creating unnecessary friction for me? What small adjustment would make this system even better? Right? I look at my systems all the time. I change them all the time because I am constantly growing, right? And I need for my systems to grow with me. And those questions that I just read off are not about judging yourself. And it's a learning tool, right? It's a learning tool. Remember, the purpose of tracking isn't to make you feel guilty. The purpose of tracking is to help you grow. Maybe you've noticed you're drinking more water than you did a month ago. Well, what we're going to do with that? We're going to celebrate, right? I don't care how small those wins are. Celebrate them, celebrate them, celebrate them, right? Maybe you've been more consistent with prayer. Celebrate it. Maybe you've posted content every week instead of every once in a while. Celebrate that. Progress deserves to be acknowledged at all times. Excuse me. Excuse me. Progress deserves to be acknowledged at all times. And then you look for the friction, right? What's slowing you down? What can I do to make this better? It's all about an easy life, right? What's getting in your way? like all of the things. And then finally, once your system begins working, raise the standard. Raise the standard. Track your progress, tweak it, and raise the standard. Not by doing everything at once, but by asking, what's the next healthy habit I can add? Or what's one small improvement I can make? Because growth doesn't stop because the system is working. That's important to understand. Growth doesn't stop because the system is working. Growth continues because the system keeps evolving. So as you're growing, your system should be evolving, right? Just like any great business, you know, they evolve. Their systems evolve. Their systems evolve. We have so many um different products from the one original product, but we have so many products that you can try from these businesses because they grow and their systems constantly evolve. Okay? Every season of your life will require adjustments. That's just that, right? And it's okay because intentional living isn't about reaching a finish line. It's about continually becoming the person God created you to be. And that's where we want to go, right? The best systems aren't the ones you create once, they're the ones you continue to improve. All right. As we get ready to close today's Cocoa conversation, right? I want to leave you with one final thought. This conversation was never just about productivity. It was never just about habits. It was never just about checking things off a list. It was about building a life, the life you are building, right? Let's think about everything we've talked about today. We started by understanding why systems matter, right? I told you some of the systems I have in place that work for me, right? Because motivation comes and goes, but systems help us keep moving forward. Then we talked about inviting you to choose the right habits, right? And not build your lives around your feelings, right? But around the habits that move us closer to the person God is calling us to be. So leave them bad habits alone and let's think about the healthy habits, right? And then from there we learn to start small and build for the long haul, right? Because lasting change doesn't happen all at once. It happens one intentional step at a time. And then we leaned into how to make our systems work for us, right? By using automation, removing friction, and creating feedback, okay? Because making our systems fit the life instead of fighting against them, right? And we also dived into give ourselves grace without giving up because that's important because life is going to interrupt the plan. The important thing isn't that we never fall behind. The important thing is that we always return. Okay. And then we discuss tracking our progress, making adjustments, and strengthening our systems because healthy systems continue to grow right along with us. That's the whole point, right? And now we're here remembering why we started building these systems in the first place, right? Because we didn't built the system to become busier, right? That's not the goal. You know, we're not trying to become perfect, right? And certainly not trying to impress anyone. But we want to create a life that reflects our faith, our values, our purpose, and the future we're praying for. Because every healthy habit, every intentional routine, every simple system is another brick in the life we are building for ourselves. So don't underestimate today's small choices, right? One day you'll look back and you'll realize you weren't just creating habits. Guess what? You were creating a lifestyle. You weren't just following a routine. You were becoming the person God created you to be. And that, my friend, is a life worth building. So, before we meet again next Monday, I want you to ask yourself one question. What is one system I can put in place this week that my future self will thank me for? And start there, right? Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Stay with it. Trust God through the process and keep building and keep building. All right. So it's time to close our conversation, right? And I want to leave you with just a reminder, right? Don't rely on willpower. Build systems that support the life you're praying for. Okay? Start small. Build around your habits, not your feelings. Make your systems work for you. Give yourself grace when life happens. Keep evaluating, adjusting, and growing. And never lose sight of why you started building in the first place. Remember, lasting change isn't built in one extraordinary moment. It's built one intentional choice, one healthy habit, and one faithful day at a time. Thank you for sharing this cocoa conversation with me today. I hope it encouraged you to take one small step toward building the life you truly want, right? Until next time, I am Princess, and this has been Cup of Cocoa and Chat. Peace, blessings. I love you, and I mean it. And remember, your future is counting on the choices you make today.